Did the buzzing get your attention? We hope so. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Jenny show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm so excited. We are talking this evening about our kids and about COVID-19 or coronavirus, however you want to refer to it. But we're going to be talking about our kids going back to school. This is the LWN Live with Nature Foundation, and we are live streaming. We're live streaming to multiple locations. If you're on Facebook and you have some questions or you have some comments this evening, do go ahead and put those comments in. We'll take a look at them. This is an interactive broadcast, and so we want to hear what you have to say as well. Do stay tuned. There's going to be some great information, and if you just go away, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. You're going to miss out. We don't want that. We want you to stay with us here. We want you to share this video out with your friends. We are streaming, like I said, to Facebook. We're streaming to YouTube. We're streaming to our website, the lwnfoundation.org. And I have Dr. Jenny back in the house with us, and I'm so excited this evening. She's going to be talking to us because she has 4 children as well. And so she's a mother and a parent, and we're all dealing with, oh gosh, what's happening? Our kids are going to have to go back. So we're going to be talking about the things revolving around going back to school or not going back to school, the choices that we might have. Is going to be an exciting program. And truly, without any further ado, I want to bring our guest and our guest host, Dr. Jenny. Welcome, Dr.
Good to be back. Good to be back, Stephen.
It is good to have you back. Thank you so very much. I'm glad that you are with us this evening. You know, we're talking about kids, we're talking about school, and boy, I tell you, there's enough stress just for having to try and deal with this new situation with the pandemic and, you know, quarantine and our health. And so our health is really super important to not only ourselves, it's important for our kids too. So we're going to be talking about this.
It's just different. It's a new norm for the whole entire planet. How do mommies adjust? How do dads adjust? How do parents adjust to this new norm? What is the fall? What does the new school year look like? I have 4 kids, so I know what I'm doing, but what are other mommies? People are scared. Mommies and daddies are scared. Do they send their kids to school? Do they homeschool? How do we protect these little immune systems? How do we protect, our children? Children make up 25% of our population, but they're 100% of our future, right?
Exactly. They are our future, and that's why we have to be concerned about this, because I know that for a lot of kids, the last year, at the end of the year, a lot of them struggled with this online schooling,
Yep.
And I think the parents struggled with the online schooling. But why don't you talk? Pardon? Well, you know what I want to tell people? I want to tell them, don't be mortified with fear right now. Yeah, take care of our immune system. Absolutely. I don't want you to be mortified with fear because of this virus. Okay. I don't want you to let COVID-19 and this pandemic harm your children, from the aspect of course, their health, but as well their education. I think it's going to be critical that we look at this topic and that we know that what our choices are, because we cannot sacrifice our kids. Some of them didn't do well online learning. Maybe teachers aren't going to go back into the classrooms. Who knows what's going to exactly happen? But it's important that they get their education because they are our future. You're correct, Dr. Jenny.
Yeah, absolutely. And then how do you cope? How do you cope with that stress? How do you support your stressors in your life? And that's huge, because I get that question probably on a daily basis, especially when people find out you're a mommy of 4, you're running all of your different kingdoms, right? That's what I call it now, not just businesses, it's my kingdom. So I have to manage work, I have to manage my personal life, being a daughter, being a mom, being a boss lady, right? That's what my staff calls me, boss lady, or jefa, which is boss in Spanish. And how do you cope? How does one cope with these stressors? And yeah, homeschooling, that last end of the 2 months of homeschooling was adjusting to that, because all of a sudden now it was in your hands, and you realize how much teachers did, where you have to keep them structured, and you have to make sure that they're doing their homework and that they're doing their study work and they're doing their curriculums, and the teachers and the schools were adjusting. And that was stressful too, trying to figure out how do we do these online modules. So, yeah, And I'm homeschooling in the fall when, come by the end of
Okay.
August. I'm going to be homeschooling my children, and it's going to be a support group with the grandparents, right?
Okay.
Yeah, where it makes more sense to me to continue to, because they adjusted to it. I saw that they were doing such a great job.
Excellent.
That are putting them right back in school, which is great too, but then that exposes them to this viral infection. Everyone's going to get it at one point or another. That's the one thing that they're not talking about, right? Just like everybody has the antibodies for all these other viruses and bacterial infections that plague humanity. So everyone's going to get COVID-19 at some point or another. And they can either be symptomatic or asymptomatic, right? So how does one protect their children to make sure that if they do get it, they breeze right through it and they don't have any symptoms? And there's a lot of talk about, okay, let's wear masks. This is great, wear a mask, but if it's not protecting the immune system, you're still going to get it, right?
I agree, 100%.
To a gas pump, and the bacteria is on a gas handle. You can go to a public bathroom and touch. It can still be, on top of a faucet. It can be, and then when you go to school, my gosh, forget about it. When you start it's like a petri dish, Stephen, of just germs.
I'm not sure how it's going to work. I mean, I know that they already pushed school out from the middle of August here in Sarasota to the end of August. From all indications I'm hearing, they're going back. They're going to open school. But now I was listening to Governor Ron DeSantis just prior to this show, and he was talking about choices and providing the opportunity for, or at least here in Florida, the parents to make a decision. Is it online school like you're talking about, or is it sending them into school? And, I suppose at this point might be taking a serious chance, a risk. Now, one of the things I heard him say, and I don't want to do all the talking here, but one of the things I heard him say is that the daycares remained open during this COVID. And they haven't said that there was necessarily an increase as a result of the daycare staying open. So he's feeling maybe that if they go to school, there's not going to be a worse situation by spreading that virus. How do you feel about that?
You broke out. What did you say?
Okay. I was just saying, do you feel that there is a risk to our children if we send them back to school?
I do. I absolutely do. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, just with normal bacterial and viral infections, and children are the dirtiest, of the population. They're picking their nose, they're picking their armpits, they're picking their butts. I have a 13-year-old. My gosh, it's amazing. I'm constantly having to boost their immune systems, and not all parents have the tools that I have. Where my 5-year-old's like, it's still.
Sure.
They're touching each other, they're hugging each other, they're playing. It's a petri dish of germs. I think it's too soon, personally, right? I still think that we have to have some degree of separation, or a better system where there's not 25, 30 kids in a class, right? And I don't know how the public school systems and even the private school systems will be able to do that. And then here's someone saying in upstate New York, it's crazy. Hi, Christina.
Yeah, I can go back to that. I just wanted to pop up. We appreciate the comments. We asked you if you want to put a comment in here or you have a question, put it in here. Christina, we know Christina. Thank you so much for joining us. She says it's crazy, I guess, in New York.
Yeah, and it's not fair to children. And she's right. It isn't. They don't understand, and they can be susceptible. Now, children in general haven't gotten it as aggressively as adults have, because children naturally have high melatonin levels. They've done, a research. You can Google this, why children haven't been affected by COVID as aggressively as adults, because their melatonin levels are so high. And melatonin is a natural anti-inflammatory. They get better sleep, which means better sleep means better rejuvenation. And I'm telling adults all the time, load up on your melatonin right before bed. Take 50 milligrams right before you go to bed. That's a really, really high dose, but it helps you to get that deep, recuperative, regenerative sleep.
Okay.
Helps you with, to modulate growth hormone. And melatonin reduces body temperature, and when you're reducing that body temperature, you're not going to get that fever that hits people when they get the COVID, that really, really high temperature that lasts for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So load up on the melatonin. I give it to my children every single night too, just to make sure that they're fully loaded, that their body has, good amounts of it to keep their body temperature at night and to get that REM cycle sleep. Because if you're not REMing, you're not regenerating. And that's really, when you're resting, it's like plugging in your iPhone, right? When you're low battery, you recharge. The body's not any different. So you got to recharge every single evening. And when you don't get sleep and you don't have that 8 hours, 9 hours of regenerative sleep, you're susceptible to getting sick. And kids are wired; their brains can't turn off. At least mine.
So we need to make sure that our kids are getting into a routine of getting the rest and getting ready and getting prepared if they go back to school, or if the parents are deciding like yourself that, because we just don't want them to not do schooling. Like I know it for me, my granddaughter struggled for whatever reason. She just didn't do well on a computer. And tried to learn. So that's going to be a struggle for some. And so we're going to have to come up with some answers to try and, if distance learning isn't working for some, then obviously they got to go to school. So this is where getting rest, getting back into a good routine is going to be an important factor. What would you say would be the best choice when speaking about our kids from an emotional standpoint? How do you feel that parents should deal with their kids?
Emotionally, some kids, neurologically, children can't process what's happening, being taken away from their friends. So if you're going to homeschool, like me, I schedule regular play dates, making sure that if you're going to homeschool, make sure that you're surrounding them. I usually have like a mommy or two play dates, and I'm alternating between different children. That way they're not around like 10 kids, but then at least they're around their besties, as my 10-year-old calls, like, I need to see my bestie, right? So going to the beach, getting some sun together, playing out in the pool, and making sure that they have those play dates. So I'm done homeschooling in the mornings by 11 o'clock, 11:30. And if it's not me homeschooling, it's the grandparents, right? So I'm getting help that way. But then scheduling those play dates every couple of days or at the end of the week, as a reward, okay? Right? And they spend all day with their friends. It exhausts them.
I think that's important because that's part of the, I think that's part of the emotional shock for these kids is that they don't have their friends anymore. And so it's really important, they are feeling really isolated. And even I think as much as they love being on their phone or the computer, certainly maybe that's even too much, Now.
And it's not healthy for you.
Well, no.
Social media. They have Psychology Today published an article about social media being just as addictive as crack cocaine.
I believe that.
It is, because it's giving a synthetic reward neurologically, and children have this synthetic form of, oh, did somebody like me? They post a picture, and if nobody likes it, they get depressed. Somebody likes it, poof, that dopamine comes up, and like, oh, so then they get used to it. I gotta post another picture so somebody else can like me. Like, it's like a dose of crack, and eventually it becomes so addicting where it's 5 hours, 6 hours a day. I talk to parents who are like, yeah, actually, after coming to see you or talking to one of your other healthcare professionals, I didn't realize how much my child is on their device, on their electronic device. So you have to find, you have to set boundaries on your children, and it's better for them. And that's what parenting is all about, is being able to say, no, there it is, set a timer, set like a watchdog app on there for them. My children's devices all go off. They're allowed on their electronic devices 2 hours a day. And that's even a lot. But within that 2 hours, I have, what does that 2 hours look like on their device, on their tablet? They can have an hour of watching their favorite show, and then they could split the other hour with video games or, reading. And then once it goes off, they're like, Mommy, please put your code in there and give me more hours. Give me another 10 minutes. I'm like, no, time to play puzzles, time to go outside and throw a baseball, time to go kick a ball, time to go in a pool, time to go for a walk. you know, time to do another activity. And they've gotten into this rut now, my children, because I was guilty. I'm so busy. I was guilty. My kids were on their device 5 hours, 6 hours, you know, after school, after doing their homework, and they're playing and they look like little zombies, you know.
Yes, I do. I'm aware of how that works.
And
Not
now
for me, but yeah, the little ones.
they're using their imagination. They're able to get out of that, you know, digital age. It's so dangerous.
Well,
You know?
actually, it's not just the kids that might have this problem too. So adults and parents, pay attention here. This is maybe something we can learn from. Getting 2 hours of sleep back in the day. It's like, Stephen,
Oh
you need to
no.
stop. This needs to stop. You know, you go online and you're looking for information, because that's what I normally use a computer for, or do some research and everything, or you see that Facebook, or you're seeing what your friends are saying, and then you start out to do this, and then by the time you're done 3 hours later, you're way off a base, and oh, that's right, I didn't even do that thing. So now the distance learning, and that's what Governor DeSantis referred to it as, obviously the internet. Now, is this something that you are planning, that you've been advised about from the school board, that they're going to still continue to do it through the school district, or is this a different program that you're looking at for the homeschooling?
No, I'm looking at a completely different program. I was realizing how much money I was spending on private schools. And at first I'm thinking, wow, you know, and then I was realizing how much at-home homework they would throw you at. And I'm like, why am I spending all this money when they're bringing all this homework in, and I'm still spending 2 hours, 3 hours in a day doing their homework? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I might as well homeschool them and spend that 3 hours a day monitoring them, right? Whether it's in the morning or in the evening after I get off of work, and doing homework with them then. And
Excellent.
they can calculate a lot faster. You know, there's so many studies out there, you know, that show that homeschool kids, you know, score higher on their SATs because they don't have the distraction of everything. I think they're overly stimulated, right? It's like 6 hours, 8 hours in a chair a day in a school. I mean, that's kind of like torture for children, you know? And all the studies, the attention span, I mean, they need to do more. So if I can reduce that and apply less stress to my children, because I never thought of homeschooling my kids, but after this whole experience, I've really enjoyed it, and I've seen a difference in them. Like, they seem happier. They seem, you know, where, I mean, my 8-year-old at one time, she was falling asleep at school. The amount of work that they put them through. I mean, she was falling asleep in class.
Yeah. Just overload, obviously. But how would you recommend to the parents that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there. How would you, or what would you recommend to these parents that are kind of sort of struggling with that homeschool aspect, and getting their kids to do that, if that's what their decision is? Because obviously staying social distancing, I'll use that word, with play dates, remember, folks. But social distance, what are you going to recommend to these parents? That's what I want to know. The ones that are struggling with it, because that's got to be an emotional strain for some of these people too, as well. And but we want them to make a good choice. So what would you say to help them be able to deal with that?
If they were homeschooling,
yeah,
and then because I tell them, don't fear the virus. Be informed on how to prevent it. Right? Activate your own personal immune system and activate your children's immune system. Like, I don't go out. I'm not, you know, fearful of it. And a mask can only do so much. I mean, I think it's ridiculously, you know, in my opinion, to wear masks, especially when you're outside, when there are trillions of bacteria in the air. I mean, these masks are designed to be when I'm in a sterile environment. I mean, I'm making drugs, and, you know, part of the qualifications of to be able to manufacture or compound drugs is to be in a sterile environment. So when we're putting on a mask, there's no bacteria in my rooms that I'm making drugs.
Right.
So it actually, you know, works, and it's there just to protect you from, you know, getting splatter or of some medications. And you're wearing a mask out in the open. Yeah, right. But if you're around somebody that's immunocompromised, wear a mask for their sake.
Right.
Where
So
if you're a carrier or if you're asymptomatic and you have it, but you have no symptoms, you can give it to somebody that has MS or Parkinson's or is diabetic or has a really weak immune system. But for mommies, it's like, don't load them up on their zinc, on their vitamin C, on their vitamin D, give them the probiotics right before they go to bed, and just keep their gut healthy and keep their immune system healthy. I know
I think that that's an important factor. Definitely is now certainly some children are immunocompromised. They do have conditions that compromise them, and so for those parents out there that have kids that are in a compromised health situation, I think what you just said, boost their immune systems up well, but that is a difficult thing. That's going to take some special consideration for these kids.
Yep. If your child is immunocompromised, I wouldn't send them because, like I said, it's a petri dish. Until you can get a hold of that compromised immune system, then I wouldn't send them to that. But if you have a healthy family and your child isn't, it just depends on the school too. But some of these public schools, Stephen, I mean, they have 30 to 50 kids in a class. That's a lot. So I don't know what they're going to do with, if Governor DeSantis. I personally think they should start separating, at least the private schools will have 10 kids in a class, right? And that's doable. That's really good. That's enough to where they can even separate them in a class, right?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go to some of these questions because your questions and your comments are important to us. And we really do appreciate everybody that's joining us this evening. By the way, you can watch this on your smart TV, on Roku, on Fire, as well as Apple and Android TV. Just download the E360 TV app and you can watch us on Real TV. You can also go to our website at lwnfoundation.org, and that will give you the opportunity to watch on our live stream tab. We're on YouTube. Hey, we want you to share this out to your friends as well. There's a lot of good information in here this evening. Your comments are important, so let's just go to some of these comments. Did you see some comments particularly that you wanted to go to, or shall I just start this up for us here? How about I start it? So Mona, and I want to say welcome again, Mona, and this is for our Facebook viewers. Okay, Facebook viewers, those that are on TV, we can't interact with those comments, but I'll tell you what, if you've got comments, you're watching this on TV, send us an email, go to the website, lwnfoundation.org, send us a message, and we'll address your concern or your comment in a future show, by the way. So right now we're taking them off of this live broadcast off of Facebook. And now, Mona, thank you for joining us. I also want to preface this. I do know, in fact, that Mona, her dad had a stroke last night. She's not even able to get in there because you can't go in and see, your loved ones. And it's got a couple, 2 or 3 right now that are, I certainly consider Mona a friend, but personal relatives that are going through this as well, too, right now. You can't even go in and see them because of COVID. Now, she wants to know, though, and Mona, we're praying for you, and we hope that your father gets better soon. We really do. She needs to take vitamins A and vitamin C's. And what would good, like pineapple juice? Maybe she's asking about juices that would be good, healthy juices.
Cold pressed vitamins. Juice is a really good idea. So we have a place here in Sarasota called Crop. Give you some props, Crop. But they do all the cold, pressed juices. They do, the greens, the reds, the purples. They have a juice called Incredible Hulk where you're getting all the greens. I mean, it's really delicious, and you're getting it and it's all raw and organic, where it's not genetically modified. So when you're making juices and you're juicing from home, yeah, and then even all of the shreddings from when you're juicing, you could save that the salad and eat it. There's a lot of medicinal properties in the skins too. So when I'm juicing a carrot, I'm gonna save the carrot shreddings and I put it on top of the salad. and it's delicious. So
Mhm.
that way you can use the actual whole entire vegetable or the entire fruit. But yeah, juicing is really, really good for you. And then having, one of these cold pressed juices a day is super medicinal, really high doses of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, all those wonderful antioxidants. And every antioxidant has a function in your body, like what it protects. So does it protect from a phytotoxin, an endotoxin, neurotoxin? Every antioxidant plays a role. They're all important.
Well, and the important factor too is, and we're going to get to that soon. I'm working on trying to get this all sorted out for you so that you can do it. You've already got it going, but you've got a telemedicine line where people can call in and they can ask these kind of questions and find out more specifics. Because that's what Dr. Jenny does, if you don't know that, she is the top naturopath of 2019, voted by the top International Association of Top Professionals. I might have said that wrong, but I'll tell you what, she's number one in my book. And she knows what she's talking about. She is a pharmacist. She has a wellness center right here on Main Street in Sarasota, Florida, Age Vital. And I'm just so grateful that she's also, by the way, our director on the board for the LWN Foundation. And so she is the one that's helping guide us to better health, because that's what this is about. Better health for ourselves, better health for our kids, knowing the things that we need to do to help boost our immune system. And you know what? Get over this COVID-19. If we get it, then at least not get it really bad, and just be healthy and set some new routines for our life. Now, I want to go back here. I see that we're talking about kids in school too. So Yvonne says that, her son receives better grades with that online learning. And I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening, Yvonne. Thank you very much. Now, she is seeing some good success from that online learning. Christina says she doesn't regret it. So this is new for you, right, Dr. Jenny?
Going for the online learning. And with all the political nonsense going on too, it's like I control, kind of isolate my children away from it and kind of keep them focused and, give them light as opposed to exposing them to so much of this darkness that's out there, right? And that's what it's all about. There's so much hate out there right now. And I think part of our mission with the LWN Foundation, Age Vital, right, is to stop focusing on the negativity, lift each other up, vibrate at a different frequency than everybody else. And if somebody's hurting you, hurt people, try to help them out. Try to figure out why they're hurting, and because when they're hurting you, it's because they're hurting themselves. And you kind of have to take the upper road. A lot of people don't know that, right? That's even like a biblical proverb too. Turn the other cheek, right? Bless those who persecute you, a famous word from Jesus. And those are really wise words, because it's hard to help somebody that, has venom coming out of their mouth, right? And they're telling you hateful things, and you're, instead of, sinking down to their level, try to rise up above it and help them, right? Because I think it's our moral duty to help people that are hurting. And fake it till you make it, right? When I can't help but see people when they're hurting now going, all right, God, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to put you first, and I'm going to work on this project and help this person, and to say, hey, I understand you're hurting. If you allow me to help you, we can heal you. We can heal your heart. We can heal your mind. We can heal your spirituality, whatever that might be. Correct? So rise above all the negativity. Because we're all playing this game of life. We're all here together. And if you're breathing, you're hurting in some form or fashion. I mean, life is not without stress. And everybody sins. Everybody does, wrong. So just because someone sins differently than you doesn't mean you have to judge them for it. So, and brother sharpens brother. Figure out how to help everybody. Did I lose you?
No, I was right here. I just letting you talk.
Thank you. Well, I'm preaching again. That's it. I'm going to be a pastor.
Yes.
No, it's a ministry.
And I'm going to be Mr. Rogers.
It's medical
right?
field. Yeah, and you're Mr. Rogers. And he had that in ministry. where people were hurting, and he was so wonderful. I told you I actually met Mr. Rogers when I came here when I was 7 years old, and he pulled me out of an audience, and it was like my first week in the United States, and I was in a big mega church, this Baptist church, and he was there as a guest, and I watched Mr. Rogers in Honduras. I couldn't always understand him, but I watched him, and as I was like processing everything, I was obsessed with him, that personality, that just constant niceness, right? And it's contagious, and it becomes genuine too. That's why you fake it till you make it, but then it becomes genuine. Like, you genuinely care about people. Like, think of the Mother Teresa's. Think of the right. She gave her. You don't have to be that extreme, but be nice to people, right? Acknowledge their hurt, and because it's like children. When my children are throwing tantrums and they're mean, I hate you, mommy. It's like, I'm not gonna go, I spaz out, right? I'm gonna be like, oh, well, what are we gonna do with those hearts, baby? What happened? You know, let's talk about it. Do you need a hug?
And it takes practice doing that, because we might have old tapes playing that, the second that the kids act up because maybe our parents did that, well, I know my grandpa was like, kids are to be seen but not heard, but that's, that's a little bit stricter age situation going on there, and things have changed. And we know that we need to give our kids our love. We got to be there for them. We got to listen, but this is where the practice comes in, practicing these new habits, and that's what this is all about: is practicing new habits that are going to make you healthier. It's all about the thinking, and it's all about the compassion and understanding. Just like Dr. Jenny was just talking about, we have to be compassionate and understand our kids might be struggling. We need to look out for our kids. It might not be the right answer. It might be too soon for people to go back to school, but it sounds like it's going to be happening. We'll wait and see what's going to come of this. It's just hard to tell at this point what the various states are going to do.
I'm for homeschooling. I think it's personally too soon.
Well, what kind of recommendations? Because I mean, I've heard of this
on the rise, and until people are more educated on how to boost their immune systems, I think it's too soon. Because in general, Americans, I mean, we're known to be the land of the obese and diabetic and cancer and insane. This is what the foreigners are saying. They're really honest to goodness. You got the Italians, you got the Germans. It's like, I have a friend, Annetta, and we went to Disney World, and when she came to visit, I mean, she's looking at everybody going, ach du lieber Gott, everyone is sehr fat. And she's like, everyone is so fat. And I'm looking around, I'm like, you're right. And she's like, why is everyone so fat? This is unbelievable. How everybody's fat. And I said, I know, and they don't know. They don't have the tools. They don't know what they don't know. And things are being put in our faces and pushed. I could say a society of people, right? The underprivileged communities. I mean, there is a sense of, I totally get the Black Lives Matter things too, right? The people in the ghetto. It's this population of people, and I belong to another organization, the She Speaks Productions, right? Where we're trying to help the people in the ghetto be more educated on making healthier choices in their diet to be able to boost their immune system, as opposed to just eating, the 2 for 2, the 2 for 1, the 25-cent tacos, the 50. Right, but that's what they can afford when you have a combined income of $20,000 a year, right? And we have to do better. We're failing the community. People are sick, and these viruses like COVID are plaguing our consumers because we're failing the system. Our government is failing the system. Our food industry is failing the system. It's all about money. It's all about power. We need to get to a point where the consumers, instead of rioting about the wrong things and about hurting each other's feelings, let's protest about our medicine in this country, right? Where's the education on how to boost it? And then you have Facebook that censors people like us, right? They censor doctors that even talk about vitamin C, gets rid of COVID, zinc gets rid of COVID, and it's like, you have the studies, melatonin gets rid of COVID, colloidal silver biotics gets rid of COVID. You have all these wonderful antiviral L-lysine right?
Mhm.
God created our body to act and function very much like a car. If you don't maintenance your car, it's going to run like crap. So your mechanics is only as good as how you take care of it. So we need to teach the consumers how to take care of their bodies, how to maintenance their bodies. We live in toxic Babylon, is what I call it. That's what we are. We're the
Mhm.
land of the free and the brave, but we're also the land of the sick and the obese, right?
Well, and that's what we're trying to do together, and that's why we connected, is because we're on that same path of educating people, and we've got some such fabulously exciting stuff coming down the line. But we want to change the way people are thinking about healthcare, and there are alternatives, and there are going to be people like Dr. Jenny and I that are going to make a huge impact in the healthcare industry, because we're going to do it differently than everybody else. And when it comes right down to it, it's all about our health. And that's where COVID has woken us up a little bit, because now we can start thinking and get into a more healthier routine. And then we can do it with the products like Dr. Jenny has. They're all natural. And, it's regulated from the standpoint of a good manufacturing operation. She's been certified there. And that's what you do. Now you can actually compound things specifically for people's specific needs. And so if their child's, you said it the other day, you tell us about the Celexa. You saw
Oh, Zyprexa. I work with
Zyprexa.
I work with foster parents. I work with the CPC, Child Protective Center. I work with social workers, and I'm starting to work with social workers. LWN is going to be working with social workers, right? Where
Yes.
you have counselors that the government is paying, and all they know to recommend or prescribe, whether it's a psychologist or psychiatrist can write prescriptions. There is no reason that a 10-year-old should be on Zyprexa. I mean, the side effect of the Zyprexa, besides damaging the prefrontal cortex of the brain, damaging the basal ganglia, you have sleepwalking, and you're changing the programming of the brain. And one of my pharmacy techs had a foster child that she took into her own home, and he's lashing out, he's moody, he's throwing things, but like I said, children don't know how to process this negative neural feedback that they're receiving. This is why places like the Brainwave Center is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, partners with the Brainwave Center, Age Vital and the Brainwave Center, a place where you can be drug free. It's FDA approved, and it's as simple as attaching a helmet where they're able to map out the brain and the different types of matter, the green matter, the gray matter, the red matter, yellow matter, right? And you have red and you have yellow. That means you're under a lot of stress. And when kids are in toxic homes, whether it's from having parents that are crack addicts, meth addicts, prostitutes, drug dealers, whatever it is, violence, right? But the kids don't know how to process that. All they know is like someone's hurting, someone's failing them. The parents aren't parenting, and they act out. They don't know how to process those emotions. So the answer is not giving them a medication that just masks their symptoms, that masks
Right.
their problems. It's a band-aid for a boo-boo. This is not a boo-boo. It's the brain we're talking about, right? You have to show them love. So for every negative neurofeedback that they receive, you need to give them a positive neurofeedback. When I was 7 years old, I mean, I was one of the most angriest children. Probably, my dad, I remember telling me, he's like, it's because you learned it, because you saw it, because the parents are broken, something's wrong with it, and then the children are seeing it, and then they're caught in this vicious cycle. The dynamics of the family is being separated because, it could be finances, could be drugs, could be whatever it is. So we need to, there's so much work, Stephen, that we got to do.
There is. We've got a lot of work to do, and it's all about educating, and it's all about alternatives to Big Pharma. I want to go to this question. Mike has got a question here. I'll let you go ahead. You can read that, can you not?
Hi, Mike Myers. Thank you for your question. My boys will be a senior and an eighth grader. Both are important years and will be going back to brick and mortar schools. How can we prepare for the changes and thoughts? Absolutely. They're older. These are older children, and their immune system should be pretty well developed unless they have some really bad eating habits. But I recommend doing weekly vitamin D injections. Vitamin D reduces the symptoms of cold and virus symptoms, right, by 87%. And we have all the studies. You can go to PubMed, you can go to the British Journal of Medicine, Oxford Journal of Medicine. This is all online. NCBI, you can go and look that up. Vitamin D and flu, vitamin D and viruses. And you see all the studies and the case studies. I mean, there are thousands of them. So vitamin D, I recommend if you're over 180 pounds, I recommend doing 100,000 units of an injection initially, and then after that, once a week, 50,000 IUs. But that just protects your immune system. Just go get those vitamin D shots, and we can do a telemedicine, consultation. I have nurses on my payroll, an active company called Nurse on Your Payroll, where we will staff a doctor to do a telemedicine, a nurse practitioner, an RN to do consultations over the phone, and then the prescription comes to my pharmacy, and we'll send it to you. We'll send it to you whatever state you reside in. So we can get you zinc vials, vitamin C vials. We can get you a mega boosting shot that has all of these immune boosting supplements in one vial. We just created this just recently, so we're going to be releasing this next week, where it contains vitamin C, glutathione, vitamin D, all in one injection, where you're getting a nice immune booster as opposed to taking 3 or 4 shots.
Okay,
right?
yeah, they heard. I shouldn't say that. I know they're not for long, but I'll tell you what, you feel so much better after. Now you have stuff, and I'll go to some more questions in just a minute. I do have some good ones that we'll get back to. You have things that are specifically made on the shelf right now, though, for kids, don't you?
Yes. I have liquid vitamin C that you can mix into their beverage, into their favorite drink. Usually the vitamin C, I put in something citrusy like orange juice or lemonade, or I wouldn't recommend putting it in your milk. Kind of it's a citrus vitamin, so mix it with their favorite citrus, with high C, like the organic high C. I have the sprayable vitamin D. It's vitamin D3 with the K2. And with each spray, you're getting 5,000 international units. I get, like, my little one, she's opposed to the injections, and she can't swallow pills yet, my 5-year-old. So I stick with the liquids. And then I have the chewable probiotics. So if you have a child that can't swallow a pill, I have it in chewable form. So those 3 things are the pediatric immune boosting kit, right? So you're getting your vitamin C, you're getting your probiotics, you're getting your zinc lozenge for your child, and what's the last one? The D spray. So there's 4 of them.
Is that the K2D3?
Yeah. That should be a mommy rescue pack. And then always have some melatonin with you, because melatonin gets rid of fevers. If your child, I recommend checking the temperature every day, because you can catch those symptoms right away. You can annihilate it right away. So if you see a 99.1, just expect that their sickness is around the corner, because it'll get worse. Get that melatonin, 25 milligrams every 2 hours. Boom, within a 24-hour period, bam, that fever's gone. No insects, because you're going backwards when you're using insects. Acetaminophen's bad for your heart. All the studies show that it gives you cardiac issues in children. We're giving children acetaminophen, things that damage their heart. That's terrible. And not only that, it's damaging their gut. And our gut is our immune system. So if you destroy all that good bacteria in your stomach, you don't have anything protecting your immune system. You need that good bacteria to protect your immune system. Probiotics are so underutilized. The whole family should be on probiotics. And I have them in chewable, powder, and in capsule form. So whatever your preference is, can't complain about swallowing a pill.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling so much better. I'm blessed that we're collaborating, that we have access to these products, these fantastic products that you've got. We've got really great stuff coming. I'm kind of honestly in a bit of a rebuild state here with my website and everything, and the e-commerce store. It's kind of in reconstruction. Bear with us on that. We went through a little bit of a difficult time there a few weeks ago, but we're coming back out of it. It's functioning, though. You can watch the live stream there. I do want to go back to this comment. And so if you're interested in these products, please reach out to us. Reach out to Dr. Jenny with Age Vital, or reach out to us. We'll get to Dr. Jenny. If I don't know an answer to a question, though, that's what I try and do. I try and get those answers from people like Dr. Jenny, right? Mm-hmm. Yvonne's got a statement here as well. Go ahead. I'm here, Dr.
Hi, Yvonne Collins. Not one size fits all. You're absolutely right. We're all biochemically unique. I was able to see with one-on-one where he was struggling and teach him how to overcome these challenges where teachers can't do one-on-one. That is so true. And I have personal experience just like that, Yvonne. My 13-year-old, I personally think he's a genius, but I know how to talk to different personalities, and not all teachers know how to handle different personalities and how to teach according to that personality type. I'm a big believer in the Myers-Briggs personality tests. I think parents should look up the Myers-Briggs test and test their children to see what kind of personality you're dealing with. Because you can have an introverted child that is a thinker lost in their head, and so you have to know how to teach them. Like Einstein is a prime example. Einstein had the INTJ personality type, and his mom said that all the teachers thought he was an idiot because he couldn't speak till he was 4 or 5. This is one of the most intellect. My gosh, he's revolutionized, right? Physics.
Like, so that's the Myers-Briggs personality test?
Myers-Briggs personality test. There's 16 different types of personalities, and it assesses human mind based on the intuitive, thinker, doer, extroverted, introverted. And it's pretty darn accurate. And you have, different, you have the extroverted, X amount of extroverted personalities, X amount of introverted personalities. And then you can go even deeper from those personality types and really understand how someone learns. Like, I'm a hands-on type of person. I get bored in a school setting. I cannot sit there because I'm like, someone talks for 45 minutes, I'm like, if you put in like boom here, like
I'm not sure what's happened there. You're kind of breaking up, Dr. Jenny.
There's still maybe time. And I can tell you, I can probably I'm gonna send it to you, Steve, like see what kind of brain you have. I think you're probably like a Mother Teresa person.
I think that there's something going on maybe with your computer there. We're kind of lagging here a little bit. Bear with us, folks. These things happen. This is live video. We're doing the best that we can here. Her video is freezing up a little bit, but she'll be right back here with us, because what we want to do, we've got just a few minutes here left, about 6.5 minutes. I was here. Yeah, maybe it's just on my end. Who knows?
Yeah, 6 minutes left. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you on my headphones. I hope the viewers can hear them. Viewers, tell us right now if you can hear Dr. Jenny. Is it breaking up on you? If it is, darn it. If it isn't, darn it.
Yeah, she can hear me on her phone.
Okay, so it might be fine. It might be my computer for all I know. I tell you, the technology is beautiful. I love it, but sometimes I want to hate it too. It's all good. Now, we just have a few minutes left here, Dr. Jenny. I know that we got a great show coming up next week as well. Why don't you tell us about that?
All right. So next week, I want to introduce an entire concept that's going to take over the planet, because this is something that I think is really needed. Right now, people go to the doctor's office when you go to a doctor's office, family practice, you should go when you're healthy. But these doctor's offices are loaded with healthy and unhealthy people, and now you're exposing yourself to a petri dish of whatever ailment they have. So instead of going to the doctor's office when you're sick, why not bring the clinic to you? Instead of going to the ER when you're sick and then catching staph infection, whatever it is, why not bring a nurse or a doctor, a nurse practitioner to your home to do physicals in your home, to draw blood in your home, to give you an IV infusion in your home, So I want to introduce next week. I'm actually going to give you a little bit of system because she's right here right now. We have a nurse on the payroll that's partnered up with Age Vital Pharmacy, and she goes to all of the different houses. Her name is Nurse Gwen. Nurse Gwen, if you want to come in here. And next week we'll talk all about it. This is Nurse Gwen.
Hi, Nurse Gwen.
Thank you, Dr. Jenny. Thank you. She's so awesome.
Knowledgeable. She's a queen bee and nurse on a payroll. Doctors can staff her. Patients can call her. If you say, hey, I'm feeling a little bit ill. I'm feeling unwell. The nurse will come to your house. She'll check you out. She'll get a doctor to come to your house and check you out. A nurse practitioner. Tell us a little bit of sizzle.
Absolutely. Yes. So I'm Gwen, nurse on your payroll, and we have the solution to the problem. So yes, we got the IV infusions, vitamins, the kind that we just like Dr. Jenny said, hook you up, get you hooked. I love it. I love it. So yes, guys, you want to have a nurse on your payroll. Every company should have a nurse on your payroll. So Dr. Jenny and I, HIO, this.
Can you imagine having a sore throat, having a fever, and you don't want to go and get everybody sick? Keep your germs at home. And for some people, yes, they're going to come to you. They bring the eye drips to your house. So they pick up your supplements, deliver it to your house, take your blood work, check your oxygen, everything that you would do to a family practice. And so they bring it to you.
Absolutely. With COVID now, COVID-19, it is real. We are proning people. And if you don't know what proning is, that means we face down so that the lungs can expand. So we're taking up the eyes and they're being seriously. So yeah, you want to stay out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So we've got some really exciting things coming here, folks. We really appreciate the fact that you're taking time to come and join us. Now, remember that we are on the airwaves. We are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on our website. We're on the E360 TV platform. You can watch us on your smart TV on Roku, Fire, Apple, and Android TVs. And next week, we've got a fantastic show coming. We'll be back every Wednesday evening. The show starts promptly at 7:03. We're working on getting that sorted so it can be right at 7 o'clock. But right now, it's starting at 7:03. We want you to join us. We are going to be talking about, like Dr. Jenny said, some super dynamic stuff. Nursing, being able to come to your house. We are working every day on putting together a resource of people that can help us with our health and our wellness, with good information, with good products. And as a result, it's coming soon. We're going to be opening up a referral center right here in Sarasota, Florida, right down there on Main Street with Dr. Jenny's office, her health and wellness center. We're going to start helping people get the resources, and we'll be answering your questions and helping you. We've got a case manager, Cheryl. I'm looking forward to introducing you to her very soon. So I wanted to quickly say, and I'll let Dr. Jenny wrap up for us, but I do have next week, we're going to have obviously be talking with Nurse Gwen. Got it. And we're going to be with Aaron and Veronica Garcia. They are energy healers. They're going to be with us as well. Super awesome people. Awaken Your Spirit if you haven't seen it on Facebook.
Payroll. Who needs it?